What's going on, CrossFit Featherweight? It is Tuesday, and we're going to get into a bit of a chipper today. So let's take a look at the whiteboard and see what our workout is. So our workout today is going to start off with double unders. You can see it's descending reps of each. Now the number of reps that you're doing of each movement changes. So it's going to start off with 100 double unders. Then we go to 50 dumbbell or kettlebell cleans, and I'll show you what those look like. I'm not the most proficient with kettlebell cleans, so bear with me when I show you that stuff. For those of you who have had a lot more experience with kettlebell cleans in the past, you'll probably know how to do those without beating your shoulders up as much. And the biggest thing behind this is I just want to really get aggressive hip opening going on. So you could do this as med ball cleans. You could do this, again, dumbbell or kettlebell. You can use a lightweight on a barbell if you really want to as well, if you have access to that. But again, the intention is to really work on that aggressive hip open on that clean. And then we're going to do 25 push-ups and 10 pull-ups. Now, we haven't really programmed a lot of pull-ups because not a lot of us have pull-up bars. Some of us have pull-up bars, so if you have that, use it. If not, I'll show you what I'm going to use. And I'm going to be using the squat rack I have at home with a barbell to do some rows. I know the last time we did rows, I showed you that breakdown with the bed sheet where you put it over the door and tie it off and use that to do some body weight rows. That is an option for these as well. Now, there's not very many reps, so it's not like it's a huge part of this workout, but at the same time, if we can get some pulling in, just because that's been a hard movement to get in quarantine with no equipment access, is getting a lot of that those pulling movements and things like that we generally do a lot of. So trying to work those in and still try to maintain some of that stuff while we're getting through all of this stuff and getting back to the normal grind in the gym is awesome. So it's okay to get creative with that stuff, obviously, and then do your best that you can. Bent over rows will work in place of that as well if you don't have something that you can do like a body weight row or something else like that on. So let's break it down. We got, again, double under, clean, push-up, pull-up. And I'll come back and go over this rep scheme before we call it quits on this brief today. So starting with the double unders, obviously we've done a lot of dubs. Big points of performance for double unders is going to be that you want to keep your elbows tucked in nice and close to your body. When I'm looking straight ahead, it should be that if my hands are in the right position, if I wiggle my fingers, I can see my fingers in my peripheral vision. Like I can tell where my hands are. So my hands are not down and back when I'm jumping with a jump rope. My hands are elbows in and they're a little forward of my hips. That way, when that rope actually hits the ground, it's gonna have plenty of time to get and room to get under my toes as they're up in the air. If it starts to translate back, where that jump rope actually starts to hit the ground, it's closer and closer, and the chances of tripping over your rope on your toes increases a lot more. So, elbows in, hands forward, and from here, just making sure I got room for a jump rope here in the garage. Working on that rotation coming from my wrists. So really trying to only hold on to that rope as tight as I need to. If I death grip it, then it gets really hard to allow my wrist to rotate instead of letting this rotation take over on my doubles. So really think about trying to relax those shoulders down and back as much as you can and keep those wrists a little looser. That'll help make that rotation easier to attain. Anyway, I don't need to show you guys good double unders. Not a lot of space in here. It messes with my head. Anyhow, so we got doubles. We're doing 100 there. Then we go to our dumbbell or kettlebell cleans. Now, again, I only have a pair of kind of crappy 20-pound dumbbells as the only matched pair of dumbbells I have with me. The clean, your feet are going to be close together. You want the leading head of the dumbbell to start on the ground. So that one head of the dumbbell touches the floor every single time. So I'm going to hit the ground, come up, big jump, and catch in a front rack position, come right back down, and just kind of go through this motion. Now again, I only have 20-pound dumbbells, so these feel really, really easy, but at the volume we're doing, they can get a little bit dicey. Our first set is 50. Big things to think about with the dumbbell clean, especially from using a pair of dumbbells, is as I bend over, I really want to fight to keep my chest up. It's easy to just round forward and allow this rounded position of my back to happen over and over again. And then you really fire up and piss off those erectors in your low spine. So, tall chest, maintain that flat back. You're gonna bend your knees a little bit more to get the dumbbells down to the ground rather than rounding at your back and keeping your legs a little straighter for every single rep. Now, if I'm doing a kettlebell, or let's say I only have one dumbbell and don't have a pair. Use that one dumbbell and just split up the reps. So I can still do cleans on one side and then switch hands and clean on the other. So totally okay to just take that set of 50 and do 25 right, 25 left if you only have one implement. Now with a kettlebell, it's gonna start on the ground. You can do this clean from the swing position. It does not have to touch the floor every time. So I'm gonna pick it up much like I would a kettlebell swing, pop it with my hips, and then catch it in that front rack position, and right back down into that swing and up. Now you can, if you really want to, go from the floor and work on cleaning that way. Either is okay. This is, again, going for that hip open. So I really want that aggressive hip open, and that can happen whether I'm swinging a kettlebell or coming from the floor. So that's how we do that. And again, if I only have the one kettlebell, break it up between right and left. Still 50 reps total. You don't have to do 100. Cool, push-ups. Push-ups, pretty straightforward. Hands are shoulder width apart. Chest is gonna come down and touch the floor, and then back up to full extension for every single one of my push-ups. Now, when we go fast, and I know I'm guilty of this, it's easy to, how do I put this? Allow your upper body to move, and you're hinging at your hips while you're doing your push-ups, but your legs aren't moving with you. Let's see if I can have a wherewithal to demo it. So here's a good push-up, right? Everything moves together. And a bad push-up, my body moves, but notice my legs kind of stay in place. And it feels like I'm doing the thing, but I'm not really. It also feels easier. So I don't want you to think about allowing just your upper body to move. So try to keep everything nice and tight and locked in. That way everything moves down and up together as opposed to hinging at your hips. And again, a lot of us might do that and we may not even realize it. I know I do when I start to get going really fast on push-ups. I think I default to that. So I know I'm not alone in that. So keep that in mind. Now, pull-ups. I don't have a pull-up bar. So I'll show you what I'm gonna do today for my pull-ups. And that's gonna be, I have a barbell on my squat rack, and I'm gonna do body weight rows with my bar. So making sure that I'm on the back side of the J-hooks. I don't want to be on the the front side of that pulling because I don't want this to come off the rack on me. But hands are still right about shoulder width, maybe a little wider. And I'll get into that same position I would for a ring row. And my goal is to pull my solar plexus all the way up to my barbell, or at least have it hit somewhere in this vicinity. So from here, I'm going to do these in place of my pull-ups for my workout today. Now that's just one idea. Again, I've shown you guys the trick with the bed sheet. I'll see if I can get maybe the video from CrossFit's, I think it was their Instagram, where they had a gal break down how to set that up, and maybe link that with this video as well so you have a reference in case you missed it when we did it before. Yeah, anyway, so let's take it back to the whiteboard. I'll walk you through the rest of this workout and specifically the rep scheme. So you're gonna go down the first set of each for each round. So first round is 100 double unders, 50 dumbbell cleans, 25 push-ups, 10 pull-ups. Then you're gonna go back to the top, 80 dubs, 40 cleans, 20 push-ups, 8 pull-ups, so on and so forth until your last round ends with 20, 10, 5, and 2. So the first 2 rounds are the ones that are really kind of a bit of a doozy. Once you're through the second round, you're basically halfway. You're on the downhill slope of this workout. So it is bigger sets. The movements are fairly simple, stuff that you can do big sets of. Have a plan on how you're going to break these up if you know you're going to have to break them up, especially something like push-ups. If I know that a set of 25 push-ups, that might be a little dicey for me. So I want to make sure I'm going to break that up into 10, 10, and 5. Maybe it's 12, 10, and whatever that would be. 12, 10, and 3? I don't know. Either way, however you break up your set of 25, pick small sets. Maybe I do a set of 5 with a short rest and then get right back in and do 5. So know how you're going to attack that and try to stay consistent there whenever you get to that movement that might be your crux. For double unders, unfortunately, if you're doing singles, it is 2 to 1. So that means yours doing 200, 160. So 200, 160, 120, 80, 40 for your singles. Math is hard when it's not on a barbell. So anyway, with this stuff, guys, it's going to be a long-ish workout. I want to say this one's probably going to be in the 20-minute time frame. So not super long, but also not a short workout by any means. So stick with it. Keep moving. When you break or you mess up or you trip on a double under, shake it off. Don't get frustrated. Get right back into it and just keep chipping away. It'll be over before you know it. So hopefully this makes sense. Again, just double check the rep schemes and know what you're doing when, just because the numbers jump around quite a bit. But yeah, it should be fun. So anyway, let's get after it.